Hi, I'm going to talk to you today about some new rope that's just come in recently, and I think you're going to like it. It's a double yarn, very much like Tossa, and it's around about 25% lighter than Tossa. So it's coming in around about 16 grams a metre as opposed to around about 22. And that means it's very nice to throw around and flick about. And the other good thing that's good about it is it's a lot more flexible than the standard Tossa, and that means you don't need to go to all the hassle of wet treating unless you really want to. It comes out pretty much the same sort of flexibility as treated Tossa straight off the reel, so all you need to do is oil it and burn it. I'll show you some samples of that in a moment. So first, let me show you standard Tossa. This always needs wet treating because it's quite a stiff rope off the reel, and that needs to be broken down by wet treatment. If I compare that with the original Tossa Lite, you can see that's a lot more flexible, and it's also got a much looser lay. Now what that means is the twist is not so tight, and that makes a very loose rope, and the problem being is that if you're not very careful with it, you can catch the plies, or if you wet treat it, it'll definitely have a tendency to open up like that. So it's always a balance between that problem and being too tight and not being flexible enough. The new Tossa Lite, which is what I'm going to call it for the moment, the new 6mm, it really deserves a new name because it's so very, very different. The first thing you'll notice is it's a little bit slimmer, and that's purely because the Tossa is slightly oversized, if anything. The other thing you'll see is that the twist, the lay, is very similar between the two ropes. So that means that it doesn't have this tendency to open up. So what that's going to give you is a very durable rope that's light, flexible, doesn't need treating. Well, it doesn't need wet treating anyway. It's good to give it a dry treatment, burn the fluff off, put a bit of oil on it. It's going to be a very nice price, and as you can see, the fibre is very nearly as clean as the Tossa. It's probably not quite the same sort of level, but then it's going to come out at a very nice price. And as I say, you don't have the hassle of treatment. So we'll show you some close-ups in a moment. I'll show you this one close up, which this end I've just burned and put a little bit of wax and oil on it, and that looks very, very nice already. Nice and smooth through the fingers. Ties very nice, tight, compact knots, so your work's going to look really neat. And if you compare that with just the thicker diameter Tossa here and tie a similar, you can see it's way smaller and neater. So that's about it from now. I'm going to fade into some close-ups for you so you can get a really good look at this. So here we've got a close-up, and the Tossa Lite is on the top and the Tossa is on the bottom, and both are untreated. So now I'll show you the treated version of the Tossa Lite, again on the top, and the untreated Tossa on the bottom. One difference between the two ropes I should point out is the number of yarns per ply. In other words, how many threads there are for each twist in the rope. So here, for example, in the Tossa we have 13 double twisted yarns, and for comparison I've got the Tossa Lite here, and as you'll see here, that's just got the 6 yarns. So it makes it a slightly coarser rope, whereas the Tossa is a much smoother finish, because of course the more yarns you have, the smoother the rope is. This is why single yarn ropes are so highly prized. The penalty that you pay for that, of course, is they require just somewhat more maintenance to keep them in tip-top condition, and they're not quite so forgiving of careless handling. So that's the two. The new light, which is what we'll call it for the moment, and the Tossa 6. And give some a try. I think it's going to be very, very popular. It certainly deserves to be.